It's time to put on makeup. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Say Reporters on the Say Report tonight, or during the day, or in the afternoon, like midnight. It's a podcast. You get to listen to it whenever. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devin Decker. Joining me, my host companion, it's Sejan Sarowick. How you doing, Sejan?
Hey everybody, I'm doing good. I'm ready to go, man.
He's
I don't
ready
know what
to...
it is this morning.
We're starting 15 minutes late, so you're 15 minutes more awake than usual.
Well, yeah.
So there's that.
That's a good point.
Right? If you hold on 1 second, Siege, if you could vamp a little bit, I have some photos to send you because the listener knows and I know, but you are still in the dark regarding the title of this week's report episode. So I'm going to send you some imagery and then you'll know what it is. So
okay, this is my favorite kind of audio comedy.
Oh, is this comedy? What are we talking about? This is audio information.
Oh! What year is it? 1998? Did you just go to Bob's?
I do feel like maybe I'm in middle school again. Welcome to the Airwalk Report, everybody. I'm wearing some fresh new Airwalk kicks that I was able to pick up from the Walmart this weekend. They'll be in the supplemental material. I also have a freshly trimmed beard, and that'll also be in the supplemental material. So you have that to look forward to if you're a member of our Discord. And if you're not a member of our Discord, invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media. So currently Facebook and X Twitter. X, formerly Twitter. I don't know why I said X Twitter. As of this recording, you can also send an email to thesayReport@gmail.com and we can facilitate you with an invitation, or we can just communicate like it is 1998 and you have an AOL internet email address there. Dial-up is dead, Sejan, so I had to do something to keep the world that we grew up in alive. And you had mentioned, I don't know if it was on the show or just in like passing with me, that Walmart had Airwalk sneaks again.
Yeah. Walmart picked up the Airwalk line probably earlier this year or something like that. But real quick to shuffle out some of the Snoop Dogg stuff after some stuff that happened with him earlier this year.
Yeah.
For all you old, for any of you out there that used to buy this shit, you Borders and Border fans out there that used to buy Airwalk. The other one I've been on the lookout for though is Etsy. If anybody can tell me if I can get any good Etsy gear anywhere.
I don't know anything about that. I have to be completely honest with you. You are speaking, as far as I can tell, another language, and I feel a little bit bad saying that, but
I don't think it was Etsy. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, like Etsy is a store, right? Do you mean Echo? ECKO?
No, not Echo, because Echo is the one with the rhino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not them. I gotta look through my old photos and see what kind of brands I was wearing back then. Definitely Billabong, definitely Airwalk were like the two like major ones for me. Honestly, because and this is like no joke. To this day, this is why I still buy DC shoes. Is that skater shoes have always been the only ones that don't like hurt my feet after a while. Like if I buy any nice shoes or sneakers or other brands of sneakers or anything like that, like I have some real issues in that regard, and I'm at a point in my life where I can talk about and admit that I am getting fucking old, and so I don't want to be in pain, so I still buy these skate shoes because they're the only ones that don't ever do it.
So yeah, and along that same line, I shared with you 2 pairs of sneakers, which if you're already a member of it, those are already up in supplemental material as like a teaser as to why they're calling it the Airwalk Report. I am a little disappointed to report that the green sneakers I will be returning. As beautiful as they are, as Devin Decker coded as they are, they do that thing that like 50% of skate shoes, not snake shoes, those are different, that skate shoes do, where the tongue is like fastened to the bottom sole, and I hate that. And maybe that's just me, but like I like the ability to kind of move the tongue around, and that one doesn't allow it. The red ones though, or maroon, they're Huntingtons, right? We're not sponsored by Airwalk, despite the fact that this episode is called the Airwalk Report, and we're talking about Airwalk shoes. Also not sponsored by the Waltons or Walmart. So just things to note. Like, they're hyper comfortable. I had to go a size up to make them fit, which I don't know how I feel about that. I'll be completely honest with you.
I don't know. Yeah, and like I don't really. I mean, like I was definitely into like skateboarding and rollerblading and BMX and all that shit at that age because like the Gravity games and the X Games and stuff and playing Tony Hawk games and all that. So like it's not that I wasn't a fan of this world, but I don't know why that was kind of what I exclusively. I guess because like when I went to the store, like when it came to like more casual shit, that's just what was available. I was not the kind of kid that was buying button downs to wear all the time, and so like buying like hoodies and shorts and skate shoes and shit was just was kind of my only option if I wasn't going to be buying work clothes. Like a ton of kids around us wore like work boots to school and shit, right? Like and that kind of thing. But I was not going to do that either. So like if I wasn't wearing nice shoes and I wasn't wearing work boots, I had to find something in between. And really, what was available when was just like skating and like and like BMX like brands.
Yeah, no, it's exactly why I did it. I wanted a comfortable shoe. I had tried to be combat boot guy in like the first month of middle school, and then I like tried to switch over to like just regular like you said, like work shoes, like Oxfords, right? And I'm going to talk about Oxfords briefly because of that time that I went to an interview to work for specifically the like contracted company that did repairs for Verizon Wireless. They were on site in the stores, but you didn't work for Verizon. You worked for whatever this company is. They're gone now. So it doesn't matter that I don't know the name. It just would have been another company that ended up going bankrupt after I worked up there. Like Blockbuster and Radio Shack and Hollywood Video, and I think Walmart's the only one that's... Oh, and Dunkin'. Those both still exist.
I mean, let's be honest. Walmart, while still making bank, and I'm not saying that they're like going away anytime soon or anything, but they are not what they used to be. I mean, the lament of the loss of the 24-hour Walmart and the kind of like... the amount of people nowadays that refuse to shop there, like Walmart's not the same that it was when we were younger.
Right, but it hasn't officially gone out of business yet. Oh, Best Buy too, but Best Buy that's along the same lines of definitely not the store that it used to be. That store wasn't the store it used to be when I worked there. I know I've told this before, but I just love this story so much. When I was trying to get the Mighty Boosh DVDs. And I went through like all of the aisles and couldn't find them. And then I asked someone, where they are. And they're like, oh, we don't seem to have them in stock. So then Dale went in and she's like, you're supposed to have them. They came out there like, oh, it's in special interest, but we don't have a special interest section. So we must not have them. And she came out and she's like, they say they're in special interest, but they don't have a special interest section. But now that I identified where they were in the store, having worked there like 6 months earlier, I went right to the special interest section. And granted, it was just one column of DVDs in the Warwick Best Buy. And I grabbed all three of them and bought them. So that's the thing that happened. But yeah, so I went to work. I interviewed for that job at Verizon. And the reason I didn't get the job, quote the hiring manager, is because I wore sneakers to the interview. And my friend got very upset with me, like, how fucking dare you go to that interview in sneakers? I put my neck out on the line to get you that interview. It reflects poorly on me. And I go, I wore Oxford dress shoes. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But yeah, that's the thing that happened. So yes, I also settled into the whole Airwalk space before Chuck Taylor's became big again from that weird, I don't even remember the name of the sports store that had them on clearance for $5. And they had this huge resurgence because of that. And then Nike saw their value and whatever.
Sports Authority and Dick's were the two that we used to go to all the time, and they definitely did have their own brands that were just not my speed.
I think it was like All Star Sports or something. I'm not sure, but like you say, you go to Bob's, you get your Airwalks. That's what I did. I went to the Cranston Bob store. They're closed, right? Are they still a store? I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Local
I don't
references.
think so.
But yeah, and I loved them. And I love these maroon ones. They're Huntingtons. They're size 12s. They fit really well. They're nice and tight. And I'm excited to be wearing Airwalks again. That is the central thrust of this opening of the show. So, Siegen, they're out there. And also, if you are a work boot person, they have steel toe Airwalk work boots. Because, of course, they do in 2025.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that once you get to the point where you're a Walmart brand, that you've done a little a little bit of the washing down of the brand name, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that I know about it is the only way to get a black soled shoe from Airwalk now is to get their like work boot, which I'm interested in. But right now, I'm just gonna dip my toe with these little Huntingtons, and they're great. And my house shoes needed a bit of an update. And I know that house shoes usually mean slippers. I choose to wear shoes in the house, and it's my choice. And you're not gonna judge me for it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely a shoes off kind of guy, but that's why I need the nice, like, I need the ability to slip a shoe on and off real easy. So that's the other thing about skate shoes.
Yeah.
But man, it's wild to see Airwalk on my screen.
Yeah.
In 2025. Welcome back, Airwalk.
It's real wild when you go to their website and you click shop and it directs you to Walmart. That was kind of crazy. But I found them, and I found the Devin Decker coated shoes, and I'm very excited about that. Do you know the other thing that happened this week, Siegen, that we have had teased for a year at this point? Possibly even 2?
That we have teased? Like,
not us, no, but has been teased to be coming to the world. We haven't teased anything.
What happened this week?
Baja Blast released its new exclusive to Taco Bell flavor.
Oh,
Baja Midnight. Which
Baja Midnight.
I'm gonna bring
they
up.
also released they also did a Maverick exclusive release, but we'll talk about that in a second. What's Baja Midnight all about?
So, Baja Midnight, Taco Bell's first ever permanent flavor expansion of Mountain Dew Baja Blast, debuts on menus nationwide August 14th. So this press release does that. It's a Taco Bell's first ever evolution of the cult classic flavor, blending a refreshing blast of passion fruit flavor with the signature tropical lime flavor of Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I feel like I can't talk at all today. I've been combining Target and Dollar. I don't know. I'm well rested. You know what? I haven't tried. I've been waiting to have any caffeine until I tried the Mountain Dew Baja Midnight on the show. So allow me to take a sip, Siegen.
Yeah, I think this is a good time for it. Oh no, no audio.
It's okay. You don't really get the lime. It's just kind of the passion fruit flavor, and I do love passion fruit, so I'm pretty passionate about this new Baja Mountain Midnight. But it doesn't have the lime flavoring, which I never really thought of that as how the Baja Blast line of Mountain Dew acts. Because, it's a little limey in the back end. Like, it's very passion fruit forward, and then you have that same Baja Blast, like, finish. Interesting.
There's a nice evolution to the flavor.
Yes, it's delightful. But you know how they've done, like, the Baja, but like the pineapple one and the mango punch and the things like that? I've never thought...
the new one now, out my way, just because we're
What
naming flavors, is melon flavor, apparently. So I got to go get a hold of that Maverick exclusive.
Is that like the cantaloupe melon one? Because I think I've seen cans of it, so...
I don't. I honestly don't know. I get, you hear melon, and that's kind of what I think, because if it's gonna be watermelon, they just say watermelon, right? But like, I don't know what melon they're honeydew. I think.
It's Mountain Dew honeydew.
Some released info.
Yeah, honeydew has unfortunately just been revealed to be an exclusive to Maverick gas stations. Thanks, Reddit, for the editorializing. I didn't know, because I knew that honeydew was coming, but that's kind of lame. I don't know. I've certainly fallen out of like hunting down the new Mountain Dew flavors, but I've been following this pretty closely because I've been excited. I mean, Baja Blast. I remember I've told Baja Blast stories, getting Joe Short some because he's like, they have an exclusive Mountain Dew at Taco Bell. I'm like, they have for 5 years, Joe. We gotta go at lunchtime.
Look, the man was not the kind of man to ever step foot in a Taco Bell.
He was the type. That's very true. His body type was very different to yours and mine. But I am going to use Joseph Short as a wonderful segue to another weird thing that happened this week. While we're still in the intro of this episode, I ran into somebody who graduated from URI with their BFA. I've been hanging out with this guy for like 2 years. And we just recently found out that we both got our BFAs from URI Theater. So that was fun. I'm not going to say his name. I won't blow up his spot. I'll get permission from him next time I see him. But, telling stories about faculty and we're not using names. We're just kind of dancing around it. And then they're like, wait a minute, you know Paula? And I'm like, oh, yeah, do I know fucking Paula? And it just kind of spiraled from there. And it was nice to know that I wasn't the only person who didn't have the greatest experience at URI Theater. He got real PTSD coded about you remember the sorry for the most navel gazing intro of this show may have ever done. The spiral staircase up to the grid, 80 to 100 feet up the floor. He has some stories about using that. And I'm like, I used to take that 3 stairs at a time because, if I had to go up there, it was an emergency. And nobody knew what they were doing by the time I got there. Yeah. So, just memories of URI Theater. Yay. But, it's nice how trauma can bond people. Right, Sejin?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's how we started.
Yeah, really, it truly is. As we just recorded over on our other show, the Adam Sandler Cinematic Universe podcast, our episode on Click, which released in 2006, and that really brought up some feelings for me regarding my friendship with Sejin. So, sorry that I'm still kind of stewing in those. But we're getting close to the end now that we've done Click. I think we only have 3 or 4 movies left, so. It's crazy times, Siege. Real crazy times. Anything else I wanted to make sure I said here before we shift into the show proper? Oh, I have an update. I said I was going to start using a ceramic, keycap keyboard. I was very excited about it. Ceramic keycaps for the summer, big thumbs up. I got to give them 2 thumbs up. I have to complain. Do you still use your Ducky keyboard that I sent you a couple of Christmases ago? Your bright yellow one? Yeah. Yeah, the quality has fallen off for the company. I'm sad to say that. Because Ducky keyboards were my gateway into the wild world of mechanical keyboards, which is something I don't know if we've deeply discussed on this show, outside the fact that we have the same base keyboard from Ducky. And this, God, I think we've had this for 3 years, these bright yellow keyboards. When they did their their 1.3 series. They've since not gone to 1.4, but 1.3 Pro. And I picked it up, and I've done every firmware update that is available. I thought, man, this is finally going to work. It still randomly disconnects, in the middle of typing. And I can't have that. I have to be honest. I mean, this is something that I brought to, upgrade the keyboard I have at work that I'm using at work.
Right.
And no, if I'm in the middle of typing and I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that I have slightly heavier keycaps on it made out of ceramic, but at the same time, I feel like it should not just be randomly disconnecting. And I've
something
tested a bunch of different things, and it seems to be the fail point is the keyboard itself. So after we record this, I will begin the arduous task of removing all 116 keys from that, restoring them, and then trying to see if I can either get a replacement one that doesn't have the defect. But more than likely, I think I'm going to be seeking a refund because, you call yourself a pro. I want less disconnects. And considering I have zero disconnects with my current crop of Ducky keyboards, like, yeah, no, it should be like reconnecting before I even know it's reconnected. Right? It should connect and then connect again. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm a crazy person. I haven't had enough Baja Midnight. That's just the fact of it. And my feet are experiencing a comfort that they haven't known in like 25 years.
Yeah, Devin's being transported to a place right now.
I really kind of messed with my body's like natural circadian rhythms here. Yeah, but it's been an interesting time. So I think that's everything, right? What have you been up to, Siege? And that's everything on the Devon side. What have you been doing, Guy?
Not too much. I'm still plugging away at trying to get that platinum for SteamWorld Heist 2. I've got it down to the last two trophies and basically what I need to do for them is do a restart. Like I need to, one of them is like finish the game in so much amount of time. The in game there is a day tracker, and so if you can finish the game within, I think it's like 39, it might even be 35 days in game, then there's a trophy for that. And then in addition to that, there's a do it without ever dying essentially trophy, and so I didn't do that my first time around at all, so I'm going back through one last time hoping to try and make it through without dying and make it through quick. So it's an interesting way to play because it definitely forces you. I wouldn't recommend it as like trying those the first time through. If you get them the first time through, hey, good on you, but like but part of it is that there's you don't necessarily have to play every level, and you don't necessarily have to be the best at every level. There's ways that the way that the SteamWorld Heist games work is that you're given a grade at the end of each level, and depending on your average grade throughout the level, you can unlock new story stuff and move forward. And so, like, really kind of doing the math on figuring out what levels are worth playing, what levels are worth going over. Well, you like going overkill on because like you need those extra points or whatever to get that S rank, as it were. Like you really start thinking about that in a way that when you're just playing the game regularly, you don't really have to. Plus, the other thing is that I have gotten so deep into that game on my other playthrough, my first playthrough, that like I'm very OP. Like it's definitely the kind of series where it really rewards you late game, where you start to feel like you could take on God itself, and in some ways in the story you kind of do. Like and like it's a really interesting way to like reward the players that for the last kind of 2 or 3 levels of the game, you're pretty unstoppable. And like it's really just a matter of, all right, let me get through the puzzle of this shooting mechanic but it's not at all a complicated like, oh no, I think I'm gonna I think I'm not gonna be able to get through this one. Like that doesn't come up. So going back and playing in this way really puts you in a really more compromised position, because if you're not constantly doing things, you're not getting overpowered. If you're not going through levels 2 or 3 times to get the best score, get the best loot, get the best hats and all that shit that they have you collect, then like you're not getting to that point where you feel like you can take on anything, and it's a very, very wild new feeling for the game. So it's cool. I'm playing the game again, but I'm playing it in a way that makes it feel very fresh. So I've always been a huge proponent of like, don't chase a trophy that's gonna make you hate the game. If it's gonna be such a burden or such a task that you're not going to enjoy it afterwards, then it's really not worth it. I've never been a completionist in that regard, but so far, down to the last 2 trophies, and I'm having a good time. So if it starts to rub me the wrong way, I don't know. But right now, I think I'm going to get through it.
Cool. I'm excited. I'm looking at it. So yeah, so it is 35 days for running at full steam. And then is it unsinkable or acceptable losses?
Acceptable losses.
For?
Unsinkable
Okay.
is refers to your ship. You the way that you navigate around the map is in a little submarine. And I'll be honest, unsinkable is a super easy one to get if you invest in the right upgrades really early on, and then just throw a bunch of armor and shit on. You are literally unsinkable, and that's an easy one to get on your first go through. Acceptable losses is a different story, because there's ways to like get around deaths and things. There's a load checkpoint option and stuff that people have found doesn't detract from that trophy. So like if you lose somebody, you can go back a couple of steps and figure out how not to. So like it's not impossible to get your first time through, but you have to know about it when you first go in, and you have to be paying attention to it the whole time. If you're not, then you just end up kind of in these positions sometimes where you're like, well, that guy's going to die, but the rest of us will get out of here with all the loot, so it'll be fine. And there's not a lot of consequences to your guy dying. You know, as soon as the level's over, they're back up on their feet. And but the way that the game works is that you exhaust people throughout a day. So if you go through a day and you use somebody, they can't do any other level. That's the way that it kind of forces you to just kind of take a break and go through to the next day. And so there's really no consequence to dying other than just that you may not get the top score on that particular level because you'll lose like a star rating for that.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, if you're not worried about that the first time through, or if there's or if you're replaying and you just happen to be replaying levels just to get money and shit, like you're kind of like, oh, I don't care if anybody dies this time because I've already got top score on this. I'm not going for top score. You can't do that if you want to do it, if you want to get that acceptable losses run. So it's like I said, it's a really wild kind of twist on playing the game, and I don't think that I would recommend anybody try it on their first run through the game.
Yeah, which is really something crazy because I'm looking at the trophy guide on PSN profiles, and they're like, Stage 1, Deathless and Speedy, Heist Ahoy. Like, focus on getting these missable trophies first. And it's like, well, that just doesn't seem like fun. That seems like if you're only a trophy hunter, which I know that the type of people who use guides to do them, but yeah, like, Stage 1 for me would be finish the game. Like, complete the game. And now you're going to do a second one, and you can do it on custom difficulty and make the adjustments to do that. So I don't know. It's all I know is regarding SteamWorld, I watched the start of SteamWorld Dig 2. I may have mentioned this here. And the fact that it ties directly into what happened in the first SteamWorld Dig, like, kind of made me want to buy it. But then I missed it. It was like $2, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get it tomorrow. And then by tomorrow, it was $30. Just like how I'm an idiot, and I missed out on Dead Rising Deluxe Remasters, like, complete edition, and now it's back up to $50. I'm sure they'll... Capcom's always good with sales, though, so I'm sure I'll pick it up. The big problem is, and I'm finishing one this weekend, let me tell you that right now, I am still just, like, bogged down by Bonanza and Shadow Labyrinth, which I had the fun realization this week that Pac-Man and Donkey Kong got new games released on the same day, and those are the games that Billy Mitchell was known for. So, yay. They are, oh my god, man. Shadow Labyrinth, like, I finally did the goal that's been my goal the whole game, and they're like, excellent, now that we've, like, penetrated the crust of this planet, we can destroy their base. And I'm like, I've been playing for 40 fucking hours. Like, everything I've done is we're going to get into the Black Tower and activate the drill to destroy the planet. No. We activated the drill so that we could get into the planet, and then in the planet, there's something for us to destroy the planet. And it's like, please stop moving the goalpost on me. Please stop this game. And it has gotten to the point where I've started to read other people's reviews or just, like, see if there's stuff that I'm missing at the game. Because at this point, I'd like to get the Platinum in Shadow Labyrinth. It's probably not going to happen. You need to perfect clear the 12 mazes, which, again, they're not just like Pac-Man mazes. They are little You're the Pac-Man, and you have to, like, solve puzzles to beat giant ghosts. But that doesn't matter because you just have to make sure you do it quick enough so that you have enough time to collect the fruit bonuses at the end. And you have to perfect all 12 mazes. And it's not for, like, an achievement. There's no perfect all the mazes achievement. You just need to complete all the mazes for the achievement. No. One of the perks you can purchase, auto countering, requires you to have perfected all 12 maze sections.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So, yeah. So there's that. And I got to the inner of the thing, and as much as I could just rush to the end of it, I know that I'm missing some mazes, so I kind of want to get those. I know I'm missing a couple of collectibles, and I'll be damned if, like, I want to finish this game, but I also want to find everything. I'm really kind of living in a completionist hell right there. I'm not going to lie with Shadow Labyrinth. And I have to be honest about Donkey Kong Bonanza. As much fun as it was starting out, it got a little bit boring. And I don't really have the drive to go back to it. And that sucks. Like, it sucks.
Do you feel like you finished it, or do you feel like you didn't even get to like a satisfying conclusion?
I got to sub-layer 900. I do not know how many sub-layers there are, but I know that I am missing... Basically, there are sub-layers that represent all of the different like worlds you go to in Mario Odyssey, apparently. Okay. So if I'm at 900, it feels like they could go as low as like 2,000. So there could be like 1,100 more sub-layers for me to go through. And yes, some of them are just kind of like the divide, where you can choose to go to one world or the other world. Or the reconnection, where those two divisions like reconnect, and then because of something, we have to go do the other world before we can move forward. Like those little like antechamber intermission areas exist, and I wouldn't count those as like full levels. Certainly not in the way that like Lost Kingdom felt in Mario Odyssey. Sort of like how the dragon fight feels in Odyssey, where the only thing you get to do in that Dark Souls sort of level is fight the dragon. There's not much else to do there. They feel more like those. And I don't know what it is about it. Like, it was fun destroying everything, but then like I'm tired of destroying everything. I'm just doing what I'm told to do in the game, and that's not as engaging as it was before. Where, like, it was exciting. I don't know how I feel about the Switch 2. Like, I know that that's sort of been a theme here, and we're 2 months in from the release, but, like, I just don't know about it. Like, I felt like I was more on board.
It's definitely more of a slow burn than the Switch was.
Yeah.
When the Switch hit big, and I don't think anybody would say that it's lighting up, you know, the world like the Switch release did. And so I get kind of on one hand what you're getting at. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that I know that are still all excited about playing all sorts of stuff on it. Yeah. You know, replaying stuff, playing Mario Kart World.
I don't know.
There's been like tournaments at work since the thing came out.
And that's cool. I'm happy. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum who's enjoying it. I just kind of wish that I was more. And I don't know what I need to, like, get to that level. Like, Bonanza, I thought was it. Bonanza, all of my complaints about Mario Kart World, Bonanza felt like it answered. And then eventually it just became as big and as empty as Mario Kart World felt for me. So I think it might just be modern game, like, aesthetics and philosophy that I do not jive with, which is not a great thing to like admit, like, but I think that's where I'm at. I don't know. I was surprised when I had 90 hours in Tears of the Kingdom. And like, honestly, I think, you know, I'm going to play Kirby when Kirby comes out. And then in the interim between Kirby and the Forgotten Kingdom and whatever happens after that, I guess it's Pokemon ZA. I think I'm finally going to make good on my promise to Claude and play Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. Like, I just don't know. Like, I feel weird about it. And those are, like, the big games that I'm playing. And I don't know. I just don't know. Sorry. Sorry to be that guy.
That's all right. No, I mean, gaming, you know, gaming's in a weird place right now. Did you see the story I sent you earlier this week about the Wu Chiang Fall in Feathers story that's going on right now?
Oh, no, I missed that one. I'm sorry. I was focusing on some other stuff.
So it's I don't know how well the game is doing one way or another. It's one of those games that I've been hearing a lot about in the rumblings. I think a lot of people were paying attention to it because of what was the Chinese game that came out last? Was it Glass Quarter, I think, and
Black Wukong. Is that what that one
yeah, yeah,
is?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that one. I think because of the success of that one and people really feeling like, see there it is possible for this industry in China to produce something really impressive. Plus there was some ways in which that game was being held up because of it was being compared to other releases around its time and stuff, and it was, I don't know. There's some shittier conversations about that game that I don't really care to get into because I don't want to amplify certain voices. But because of the success of that game, I think that there were a lot of people that have been looking at um, the release of Wu Chang Fallen Feathers as just kind of a spiritual follow up, kind of like not necessarily from the same people, but like if China can really be a player in the video game market, what are they gonna, what's the next one gonna be? Like, is this one gonna hit? And from all accounts, it was kind of a middling game to begin with, and more than middling. People that were playing it and enjoying it were really enjoying it and really had a lot of like fun, pumping it up online and trying to convince other people to play it and all that. But they went through this week and did some major modifications to the game because being a Chinese creator, there are some really hefty social rules that they need to abide by. So the story of Wu Chang Fallen Feathers is one about like you as a character have really suffered like a really damaging like loss in your life, right? You've lost a person in your life and you've not grieved with it well. And one of the things that you do is you go on this journey to kind of, I don't know if revenge is the right word, but at least work out some anger by working through by killing various gods and like going through there is like a particular one that you're looking for in order to like seek a level of revenge. But the whole point of the story is that as you're going through these various gods, and it's a game about boss battles, right? It's very heavily influenced um
Dark Souls.
by
Yeah.
kind of, sorry, go ahead.
Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of Dark Souls. It is definitely a little bit about like learning the bosses and stuff like that. Not nearly as like get good as Dark Souls is, but definitely that. But the other thing is God of War is like another like example
Okay.
where like the God of War series where like it's a very linear kind of thing, whereas like the Dark Souls stuff sometimes feels a little bit more open. So it's mixed up with that, right? And the idea is that as you're kind of going through and killing these various godlike figures, like you are learning more and more about kind of the acceptance of that death that you were kind of damaged by, right? And the end of the story is like learning to accept that death. Unfortunately, there are a lot of rules in China about what video games can and can't do, and one of the biggest ones is the killing of religious figures. There is a lot out there about what they can and can't do with those. So there was a patch put out for it this week where you no longer kill the majority of like NPCs and bosses. Instead, they do a lot of weird stuff like falling to their knees and then just like telling you to go away
I
or
am
like there's
exhausted right
all
now. You have
yeah, there's a
exhausted me.
it is a really
Yeah.
weird it's a really weird move because being that the whole point of the story is that because you've killed this person and you saw the ways in which they accepted their death, you've learned to accept the loss that you had. Except now they're not dying. So it really doesn't work. And like people are on this side of the pond, as it were, like they are not happy about it. It basically completely ruins the entire story of the game. And from a gameplay standpoint, as I said, it's been received pretty middling in terms of like whether or not it's a good game because like it just basically rehashes a lot of mechanics from other games that people like, and there's nothing really making it stand out any different. There's no particular system that this game has that people are like, oh, you have to play this game because this mechanic is mind blowing. Like that just doesn't exist as far as I can tell. And so like it basically it had the rug pulled out on it because like it was starting to gain a little bit of traction. As I said, people were really kind of looking to it to see how China as an industry would handle like being in the games market, the international games market, and it feels like a really big misstep. But like I don't know how you get around this shit as a creative, like living in that kind of regime, right? Like they're just not allowed to do this. There's also the other thing that the article that I sent you mentions is that apparently there is a blunt like Christian character in the game that you meet, and through like meeting them and doing whatever story elements come along with them, you learn a new emote, which is prayer. And apparently that's just being straight up removed because like that's just a no-go over there. So like there's this character that you meet that has this whole other kind of subplot to it that leads to this kind of concept of prayer that is now just not going to be in the game. And I don't know if that means that the character's not going to be there or if you just don't get the emote or what, but like just a straight up just an entire plot line just like, nah, this is not acceptable. So now what's wild to me is that this is not the kind of stuff that was found pre putting the game out, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know what
I,
yeah. I don't know what kind of system there is out there that they have that this game has apparently been out long enough for people to get their hands on it and play it, that now they're suddenly going to patch out huge swaths of this story because of some stuff from their homeland. Like why was this not something that was done before the game ever hit shelves?
yeah, I don't know how to feel about that at all. Especially looking at it. First of all, I think I might have just said Black Wukong. It's Black Myth Wukong is the actual one. It's based on Journey to the West. Back to Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, like the idea of it is it's set in an alternate history representation of Shu during the late Ming Dynasty. So the idea of like, well, you can't kill these historical figures because that's not what happened in the real world. It's like, yeah, that's why we said it. In a world where this feathering disease, people grow fucking feathers. Like, it's not meant to be our world.
Yeah, it's like we're getting into some like dangerous politics territory, right? Because this is the kind of stuff where if people don't obey these rules, they lose their livelihood at best.
Yeah.
At worst, some people end up in terrifying situations, right? Like, and so like I don't in any way think the developer is doing anything. I think the developer doesn't have a choice here, right?
No,
like, they
exactly.
need to make these changes. What I feel weird about is like, at what point do you, as a developer in this kind of situation, do you think you're going to get away with this? It reminds me of oh fuck, what game was it on the PS2 where the creator put through a quote unquote clean version to the censors in Japan and stuff, and like purposely did it so late that he would then have to hand deliver like the master prints to the printer. So he got the permission from PlayStation and all that, given the thumbs up that the game was good and was going to get like a certain rating and all that. And then he on the plane with the master prints in hand replaced them with his unedited version and got the game like published. Oh man, what PS2 game was this? This is going to drive me nuts.
I have no idea.
I think it was like D. I think the name of the game was literally just D. Yeah, it's a wild story, but like this is like it makes me think like, did these guys think that they were going to get away with this by like, oh well, the game's already out there, sorry, we can't stop it now, when like we live in a world where the kind of like the 3-month later patch that changes everything is certainly not unheard of.
Yeah, I hate that. I honestly do. Especially like these people who are currently beating Donkey Kong Bonanza in like an hour. We know that the developers were like on board for that. It's the same team that worked on Mario Odyssey. It's why I brought up Mario Odyssey. To the fact that when you circumvent things, if you go back and speak to NPCs, they say, oh, like, we know you cheated in order to avoid this. Like, they put it in there. But I could also see Nintendo being like, yeah, but you need to patch that out. Because it's not the rubber ducky. It's the fact that, like, you want to develop software for the dumbest person in the room. I'm sure there's an actual term for that. But, like, universal appeal is what you're aiming for with things. So even though you're probably not going to stumble upon something that allows you to skip the boss of a world, the fact that it's in there and the fact that a novice could potentially do that, Nintendo gets real nervous about that shit. So it's one of those things where, like, speedrunners, you don't want to necessarily publish your things. I look at Metroid Dread, right? From our banned YouTube episode, Team Red Droid. where like Metroid Dread, they broke that game wide open within 72 hours of its release, and then it became a race with Nintendo as they kept patching every little vulnerability that was used to clear that game as quickly as they were clearing it.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, well, we'll play legacy versions of it, but at the same time, like you're calling attention to it, and they have the ability to fix these holes in the games. I mean, they did it before on like Super Nintendo games. There's a reason why everybody for Link to the Past speedrunning uses the Japanese version, and that's because mostly the mirror glitch is what I would think of. The fact that if you use the mirror in any room where it won't transport you to the back, so not in dungeons, while you're pushing a block, the block just disappears as if you've sent it to the dark world through the mirror. But that trivializes almost every single puzzle in the game. And then you look at something like the Super Nintendo version of Link to the Past to the Game Boy Advance version of Link to the Past, and there was a pretty well-known exploit to beat the Ice Palace without having to do everything. And so they completely redesigned the bottom floors of the Ice Palace so that you had to do it the way that the developers intended. And that's just like, so it's not new patching out exploits in games or like being beholden to censorship with patches in games, but it really does kind of suck that is squarely where we are located. In addition to the fact that games die now. Like, I watched Superman again yesterday. I will say this, much better on the second viewing. I'm not sure why. I think it's because I knew the pacing, I had lowered expectations, and also maybe in a bit of a better headspace. Like, on like a global macro level, better headspace. Because I was excited to see it, but I was dealing with some stresses at work and things that could have distracted from the experience, and I'll admit that. So I do recommend James Gunn's Superman, written and directed by James Gunn. It was a fun experience watching it with the family yesterday, and that could just be it too. However, it made me want to like go kill the Justice League. Like I wanted to be the Suicide Squad killing the Justice League, and I haven't like booted up the game because I would be real disappointed if the fact that I didn't complete it, because they gave it away for free on PlayStation Plus, like a month before they said they were going to shut the game down. And then a month later, the game wasn't shut down. And I'm like, but I feel like every day could be the last day with this game. And then I stopped playing it for 4 months. And I'm just nervous that, I don't know. And you know what I'd like to play? Honestly, I'd like to play Marvel's Avengers at a time where it turned out it was a pretty solid Avengers story, when the MCU is doing stuff that isn't necessarily working for me. I mean, 1 out of 3 ain't bad this year. Thunderbolts was great. It finally got a Disney Plus release date. Did you see that? Do you know when that's coming?
No. What's the date on?
August 27th. So if you're a D Plus, holdout on Thunderbolts asterisk, you will have the opportunity come August 27th. And nice. I'm excited for more people to see that movie. Because I really did like that one. That's the only Marvel movie I've seen twice so far this year. Though once Fantastic Four comes out, I'll probably check that out as well. But, like, I don't love that also games weirdly have an expiration date now. And it leads into that whole patch, like, world that we live in. That at some point, Ubisoft, if they feel like it, could patch a game so that it's no longer playable.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. The game that I was thinking of, by the way, just to put a pin on that, was it was Kenji Ino's D from the not PlayStation 2 but PlayStation era. It's a really weird little like horror game, like kind of like I think about like the Seventh Guest. Like it's an adventure game where you go around and do little puzzles, but really it's more about like the FMV in it. But it's not full motion video. It's all 3D animated. It's what would they call that? I guess CGI is what it is instead of FMV. He famously put through a clean version to the censors in Japan, and then when it came time to actually print the discs, he was like on the plane, like furiously, like putting like a bunch of master discs together that were of the uncensored version.
That's crazy. I love that. I do support that.
That was back in like the '90s. That was like whew, that was the wild west of gaming at that time. Anyway,
I mean, that was really the Wild West of gaming. Like, you think about the switch from cartridges to CDs naturally sort of opened up the world for piracy, even like larger than it was before. Because, like, I remember my stupid fucking elementary school pen pal. That's what I'm going to say, because I'd like to say his name. I'd like to go, we came to blows. Did you have a pen pal in elementary school? Was that a thing that you did at your school?
We did a 1 or 2 time thing where we wrote to a different school, and then we all met up. Funny enough, I think at the carousel, we all met up together, like, and got to meet our pen pal eventually. But that was like 3rd grade, I think, and it was just for that year. And like I said, we only did it like twice. So we wrote one, they wrote one, we wrote one, they wrote one, and then we all met up together. It was okay. It was pretty cool. My pen pal was nice. I don't remember much about her, to be honest.
Oh, see, so there, first of all, Sejan got a lady. So he was living out like the Notebook Junior over here. I kid. I don't know.
At a time where I was not interested.
Yeah,
in
right.
like,
No, I understand. But it could have been. You could have been.
Me was not like, oh, little girl.
It could have been your whole Little Manhattan, Little East Providence. I really like that. I think Josh Hutcherson would do a good younger Sejan. But because of the nature of Coventry, Rhode Island, and the fact that we have 6 elementary schools that then filter into a single middle school and then a single high school, it was 6th grade, and they're like, we want to make sure that you have a friend when you go to the scary world of middle school. I really am just middle school minded today, aren't I? I apologize. So they like the furthest elementary school from the elementary school you were at, that is who your pen pal was from. And legitimately, it was a letter a month. We wrote a letter to our pen pal. They would write back that same month. So, like, I did, like, 9 months of correspondence with my pen pal. He was a male. And we talked about, like, video games and stuff, and that was fine. But then after, like, this is, like, the letter that I feel like kind of, like, skewed the relationship a little bit back when it was just, like, pen pal letters. Like, before I met this person in, like, face-to-face, was, he's like, you shouldn't copy video games. That's illegal. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not copying video games. What are you talking about? What a weird PSA to put into your, like, 6th grade is what? You're like 11, 12? Like,
sixth grade is past a point where I feel, I don't know, man. Sometimes you just get caught on a thing when you're that age, you know, like younger especially, like 6 or 7 year olds, like you get like really caught on like a thing that you learned and you tell everybody that thing for no reason. You're just like, hey, I learned that drugs were bad a month ago. Okay. Cool.
Yep,
good
cool.
for you, kid.
I can't wait for like 7 years from now when you learn that drugs are the way to get
you
through.
may be a little bit out of that, but
yeah, it was like very like I'm like, oh yeah, I got the new Donkey Kong for Christmas and I beat it and it's really good. He's like, oh, don't play copied games. If you copy games, you could go to jail. But I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm trying to, like, share an experience with you in this letter, and you're lecturing me about something I'm not going to do until, like, a year from now. That's the other, like, crazy thing, is to think that, like, within a year, I was emulating fucking everything.
And it was all that kid's fault. I wouldn't have done this, but that kid pushed me.
I wouldn't have done that, but that fucking letter on that stupid yellow goddamn lined elementary school paper.
No, nice. Yeah.
But then they had like a big dance party where all the schools came to meet, and it was held at the middle school as like this thing, and like, oh, you have to meet your pen pal and then like do a little interview. I'm like, I've been talking to this kid for 9 fucking months and now I have to interview them face to face. This is stupid. I just want to have fun today. And my interview ended up with us fighting each other. Like real squared off, hands raised, like bare knuckle brawl. I kicked that kid's ass. He's like, you should have copied Nintendo games. I fucking don't. What are you talking about? It's illegal. And he threw a punch, and I'm like, well, you're not gonna start something. I'm gonna finish it, and that's what I did. As this little sixth grader, I beat that kid. And I didn't like beat him with an inch of his life, but I hit him hard enough that he's like, I'm never gonna start a fight ever again. And then like I had to go to like middle school and high school with this kid, and it's like, that's the one. That's my pen pal. Kicked his ass when we met in person for the first time. Sorry, I'm not sure. Oh, it's about the copying of video games. That's where it comes from. But yeah, so like when CDs came along, it did really open it up. Like, remember the official PlayStation emulators, like Bleem? What's the other one? Besides Bleem, they were programs so that your PC could read and play PlayStation discs.
And they were endorsed by company. I mean, that's the thing, is emulation and ROMs were for a period not looked down upon by the industry. You know, there was definitely concerns about like the idea of piracy and selling and all that, but the solution for them was to do their own official versions of them so that they could get in on that market and make sure that they had some control, some regulation. Nowadays they don't care to give you that chance. Microsoft is getting kind of weird about their stuff, but I don't know. I don't know what the hell Xbox Microsoft is thinking their future looks like these days.
Yeah. I don't know, but no, Bleem was not, because PlayStation sued within 2 days of them taking pre-orders. It was a commercial PlayStation emulator, and they're like, no, you're going to put us out of business if you could just turn a PC into a PlayStation. And, like, because of it, it's why we have all the legal rights that we do about, like, emulation, is that Bleem lawsuit that, like, no, but you do have a right to back up anything that you purchase.
Right, yeah, and so the reaction to that is for PlayStation then to actually get behind a couple of different emulators and say, fine, but these ones are going to obey our rules. But what they did is, on those, the reason why that shit never would have worked anyway, is they backdoored a lot of what would become DRM. I don't know if that's what they called it at the time, but they backdoored a lot of shit into it that like you had to have official discs and stuff, so you couldn't just be playing just the run. They did what happens whenever an authority gets involved in this kind of shit, and that was water it down to the point where it was basically not the same thing anymore, right? Yeah, man, the emulation and all that in terms of like the legal history of it and all that is always a fascinating thing, but like there's definitely something wild about that era in the late 90s, early 2000s, where like nobody was quite sure who was in the right or the wrong, which meant that people were willing to push the boundaries in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Connectix was the other one that had the, PlayStation emulator called Virtual Game Station. That did the same thing. But, like, yeah, once we moved over the CDs, it's like, oh, it's super easy to copy this stuff. Let's just do it. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see that a developer was like, oh, it's super easy to just, like, send them one print, but then I'm still in charge of sending it out to the people who are going to create the actual games. I can change it. And then I can say, oh, it's from an earlier build. I'm so sorry. But they're out there. People have them. What are you going to do? And, like, as much as I love that story,
I think guys like Kenji Eno, too, is that the other thing about video games at this time is I don't think video game development was, like, his bread and butter. So I also think there was an element of they'll never let you make a video game again, but, like, I think the dude also, like, did, like, music and shit. Like he had another career besides just making video games.
Yeah. It's just... And then you look at those things, like those sort of situations, and unfortunately, it is why they have these things like backdoor ways to do it. Remember Little Big Planet? Is that the name of that game? That game was huge, and I do not remember the name of it right now. Little Big Planet, right? Sackboy? Terrible name for a mascot. Way to go, Astrobot. You outlived Sackboy. Even though, unfortunately...
I don't know, man. Sackboy just got a platform game last year, too, that was pretty decent.
Did he? Did he get another game? Really?
Yeah, he got a straightforward platformer now. Like, as opposed to, like, the creator engine that 2 and 3 really had kind of become. it went back to just being like a pretty straightforward, I think side-scrolling platformer called Sackboy Adventures, I think.
Sackboy: A Big Adventure came out in 2020. Is there another one after that?
Oh no, that's what I'm thinking
Okay.
about. So 5 years ago, a little
Yeah,
bit longer.
that's
than I
still
thought.
fine.
But yeah,
I mean-
he.
And then I think the pack-in of the Astrobot game where they're like, oh, everybody really liked that one, and it's kind of the same thing. Let's make Astrobot Adventure game. And everybody, that game, I haven't played any of the free DLC, but it gets DLC like every 2 months. I liked the first Astrobot, like how it
Nice.
originally came out. I liked getting the platinum. I enjoyed playing it. Nothing was too frustrating. It couldn't be played for long periods of time. That would be my only complaint about the second Astrobot game for PS5, is that it got tiring in a way that like other games don't. Like I could play as much Mario Odyssey as my body would allow me to. Like I think I've had like 8-9 hour sessions of Super Mario Odyssey. After that, like even Bonanza, like what started this whole conversation, like after like an hour and a half, I'm like, all right, that's enough Donkey Kong. Thanks, Donkey Kong. I need to do something else.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's just
like,
age,
but that's
or...
good. Like knowing where that limit is with games, and it varies from game
Yeah.
to game for people. Like that's a good way to make sure that you don't burn yourself out on a game, though, right? Because
Right.
if you're like forcing yourself to play through 4 or 5 hours of that when you're really only digging it for an hour and a half, you'd hate that game.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, but yeah, it's, you know, but now they have that because of that. Because like when Little Big Planet came out, there was that song that's like, it's got Muslim chanting in it. They're trying to take over the kids' minds with Muslim chanting in this background version of the game. And I remember what I did. I went out to a Blockbuster that had it and rented it that same day. Because having worked at Blockbuster, like I knew that they would totally like take advantage of that. And then I ended up buying a copy of it because they repressed it like real quick, or they just had the patch that you couldn't play it without. And I don't know if they just applied it, but I rented the game and I rented it until the versions that didn't have the song on it, and I switched out the disc and then returned it to Blockbuster. So my Little Big Planet copy has the original Forbidden song on it.
Nice.
Like, because I did that because I like screwed over the Warwick Blockbuster, which oddly enough, my original manager had started working there. This was like 10 years after I had ceased working at Blockbuster, but right before the bankruptcy that like crippled all of them except for the one in Bend, Oregon. Man, memories. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know. What are we talking about? I thought I had so much to talk about this week, and I just feel like I'm really just excited about my shoes. How about this? Sejan, have you been to a Wendy's lately?
Yeah, I have, and I've gotten the Wednesday meal from Wendy's, or at least a Wednesday bag. The this is definitely not a Happy meals that they're putting out.
Misfortune awaits within. Like, people who are not connected to the internet, like, I saw someone put up a thing, like, what is happening at Wendy's? Like, misfortune awaits. And it's like, they did a thing with Wednesday. We got the when Wednesday came out on Netflix, it was a Wednesday, and we went to Wendy's and we got the Wednesday meal. We got to try all 4 of the very hot sauces, which, you know which one I hated the most? I will just be honest with you. They have a jelly one that's like a spicy jelly. And the problem with jellies is that they persist. I think I still taste that heat from that jelly dipping sauce 2 weeks ago.
Arby's had one at one point, didn't they? Like a
jelly bit. Yeah, they do that a lot, where they'll do like, I mean, Arby's sauces are legendary. Horsey sauce, baby.
Horsey sauce is Horsey sauce is one of the top 5 greatest fast food sauces.
Sauces. I'm from New England, specifically Rhode Island. So just people not knowing it. But then when we came home from that, like, we shared photos of our Wednesday meal. My mother shared photos of it. And someone's like, oh, I saw that pop up. I didn't know it was around here. And it's like, no, the Wendy's that was turned into Wednesdays, That was one located in freaking Hollywood, California. Like, no, not every Wendy's is now Wednesdays. It's just they did one as a promotional thing. And also,
it's always funny when they do that kind of shit. Like everybody that was looking for the Quickie Marts back when the Simpsons movie came out.
Yeah,
they
the
turned,
Quickie Mart 7-Elevens.
7-Eleven into
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
I got my Simpsons donut. That was fun. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I remember that. But yeah, so that whole thing, like, I just love like the disconnect, and it really is, I guess, demonstrative of the fact that advertising, despite being a huge cornerstone of the American like economy, a lot of people are not aware of advertising anymore. So they like drive by a Wednesdays and think, "Oh my God, they're murdering people at the Wendy's." Like, someone shared one of the photos of the Wendy's with that, and then they captioned it, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." Like the old meme, and it's like, yeah, but like, are you like just not familiar with anything that's going on in the world around you right now? Like, I don't get it.
I think what it really is that everybody's trying to be a comedian nowadays.
Yes.
With the ways that we have all hooked onto social media, the go-to vibe that everybody tries to bring is, I could be the funniest one on this platform. I could be the funniest fucker out there, and nobody ever is.
No. At the end of the day, you still need to make sure it plays in Peoria, so you're never going to be the funniest person on the platform because you're tied. Your limbs are tied. I don't know. It's been a weird thing. Continuing Leanne down to the last 3 episodes. I watched the 13th today. Dylan, the character that got me excited about the show, is back. Tim Daly's taking a bit of a back seat, though. Dylan also back for 1 episode, and now you're never going to see him again. Turns out, spoilers for Leanne, a show that literally you probably only know if you've heard me talk about it. He was a bank robber, and in the like walk-in tub that he installed for Leanne and Carol's parents, he hid a bunch of his lucre. So like, the FBI agent came over to meet the parents, Tim Daly being the FBI agent, and is like, yeah, he was great when he installed our walk-in tub. And he's like, ooh, you're going to hate me. And he goes and he like knocks and it's hollow. So then the FBI came and they tore it down, and there was like millions of dollars worth of stolen gold, jewels, and just money hidden in the walk-in tub. And it's like, how did he have the chance to get in? What, did he like throw it all in the toolbox? And then like, all right, there you go.
Oh man,
I don't know. It's whatever. The show is a little off balance. It's a fine summer watch though, right? And I feel like that is an art that we have lost in modern days. Like the art of the summer TV show,
because we don't have seasons anymore, right, when it comes to television, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of true, isn't it? Yeah. Ugh. Oh, CJ, why you say that? You make me sad.
But but you're right. Because of that, we don't have the summer watch. We don't have the summer seasons. We, like HBO USA's whole lineup was like so good during the summer. Like I remember going through like Burn Notice and stuff as in the summer months and things, and like that just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. They just had a new one that came out. That's good. When I do USA shows 2025, it shows all of them. New USA Network shows 2025. They just had, what's it? The Rainmaker is going to be a USA, and it started this past Friday.
Tom Cruise movie, right?
Is it Tom Cruise? Yeah. Or I thought it was, who's in The Rainmaker? I know it's based on the John Grisham novel,
but it is a show based on that. Okay, like it's not like a coincidence.
Matt Damon is actually the Rainmaker. Matt Damon and Danny DeVito are on the poster. It's Francis Ford Coppola. That's okay. There you go. But everybody has been talking with the fact that there is a new legal drama coming to USA Network. Suits LA has reared its head from the shores of obscurity to be like, I bet if we'd been on USA, we would be popular too. And it's like, you were given more chances by being on broadcast TV and nobody watched you. But like, that has been the discussion. But you're right, it's exactly what you're talking about. You used to have shows on the cable networks, your TNTs, your TBSs, that were during the summer when there was nothing else on. Hello, Siege, are you there?
Yeah. No. I was thinking, like, I was trying to think of, like, other shows recently that, like, I've kind of gotten into in that way, and they just don't exist.
Yeah. I mean, like, we had even talked about, we used to talk about Dinner and a Movie all the time on TBS, and that, like, quietly came back, though it replaces Friday Night Vibes, which was also a weird sort of show, because it's like shows for the black, movies for the black community being watched with, like, by black voices, and then, like, some of the movies that they would watch were some of the whitest films I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's interesting to hear perspective on that though too, because like these are the movies that are finding a wider audience. Why? And it's because like, what is it about these white films that are is it that they're getting more backing into the marketing in the creative sense, or is it just what audiences want? It's wild. I think that's a valid conversation once or twice too. Not every time though.
No, it was just like, I'm like, no, like, I expected to see certain films, and some of them were. Like, I think the first one that I saw that caught my attention, they were watching Black Panther. And I'm like, I get that. I understand this one. And then I don't remember, but I'm like, that doesn't seem to hit the Friday night vibes of it all. And now the fact that it is Dinner and a Movie again, and it's being hosted by Whitest Kid You Know, Jason Biggs. Not that he was in the Whitest Kids You Know, but he's white. Right, Jason Biggs feels like he's very white to me. But that's the world. I don't know.
Jason Biggs is an interesting figure because he has been producing and like really working like nonstop, like right since American Pie. Like he's never really stopped working, and so. I kind of get why he's at this point now where he's in his career where he can do something like this, but I still think there's just so many people that just know him as the pie fucker.
He's never not going to be that guy who fucked the pie. And that's unfortunate because, again, like you said, he has worked. He's done some... I love the movie Loser. We've talked about that a bunch of times. Boys and Girls Warning Sex Changes Everything, where he's like the Stifler character as opposed to the Jim. Like, he's got some good stuff.
He was one of the big forces behind things like Orange is the New Black and stuff, too,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. He's got a good mind for the industry. And I'm excited to see him doing something like Dinner and a Movie. But it does seem very diametrically opposed to Friday Night Vibes. And it just kind of feeds into my fear that most of the shows canceled in 2025 were, like, minority-centered shows. Like, by The Equalizer, by Irrational, SWAT, though. Is SWAT weirdly coming back as, like, they're doing the Disney Channel thing so that they can have more people? Instead of, because every show has basically become, we have 3 reoccurring cast members. We have 3 leads at this point. We don't have not Mike and Molly. Barb Hart's Abishola was the first one where they're like, in order to do our 5th season, based upon the way that the budget looks for us, there's going to be the leads, Bob and Abishola, and then we can use a combination of recurring characters, no more than, like, 3. So, like, every episode featured 5 people that you knew from the show, but it was weird, because, like, his younger brother would be there, but not his younger sister. And it'd be, like, his younger brother, the mom, and Abishola's mother. And it's like, it's weird that you're doing like a big family thing and the sister's not there. I mean, it's
Oh
not
yeah,
that
I mean, well,
weird.
I think
like,
the
but
worst offender I've ever heard of that is the funeral episode of
Modern
Modern
Family.
Family,
That Haley
where
wasn't at her
like,
grandfather's funeral.
and she like as an actress, like she didn't even know what that episode was until like she saw it air.
Yeah, she didn't know. And it's not, I mean, I don't know if it would have affected, I probably would have, because Sarah Hyland is one of the actors who seems to be at that level of commitment where she's understanding everything that's happened and feeding it into her performance. She's very good. She was one of the like shining moments of Bumper in Berlin, the weird Pitch Perfect television series that was a one and done. But she didn't know that the grandfather passed away because she wasn't in that episode. And I wonder how it would have affected her performance, especially as the final season was so much of Haley trying to find herself in Modern Family. Now that she is a mother and like how she totally fits into the world. It's weird. Like that's the type of stuff that happens. But now we're looking at like Tracker is losing a bunch of characters so that it is pared down to just Tracker, the lawyer, and the guy in the chair. Which, I don't know, it's Tracker, Renee Green, and I don't think it's Bobby. I think it's going to be Bobby's cousin who they end up using. Which is interesting. Like, it's just, okay, you established a show with this, and I think SWAT's workaround on a show that they also had some fucked up shit going on. I've talked about it here, where, like, sometimes it was the one female SWAT officer, sometimes it was the other female SWAT officer, and they looked so similar that my father thought they were the same character. And it's like, no, they're different.
Weird.
They're different characters. Are they? Yeah, they are. One's like Latin and the other's like sort of Asian. Like I don't know what to tell you, Dad. Life. It's weird. It's weird, but they had to do that. So I think they're doing the old Disney Channel thing where people have just made so much money after these 3 seasons that if we soft reboot the show, they don't need to get like a raise. They're going to be at season
SWAT at
1
sea
levels
or something.
SWAT at sea, and they're working with NCIS. No, it's like SWAT. It's like an even more specialized SWAT kit unit, as if SWAT doesn't stand for Special Weapons and Tactics. What is? I'm looking it up. SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron. They're gonna go with that.
Oh my god!
No, they're not. That's a joke.
My heart.
That'd be great. I don't know what it's called. Like, what is it? SWAT sequel. I want to look up what it's called.
SWAT sequel.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, like, you know, it's the I'm surprised. Like, I'm surprised it didn't go the CSI route anyway, and have like a bunch of like SWAT LA, SWAT San Francisco, SWAT whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, like, it's pretty much ripe for that kind of spiritual sequel show anyway. So I don't think it's too out of the ordinary for them to do something like that.
But the whole thing is like it was canceled after the 6th season, and then they brought it back. Canceled after the 7th season, brought back for the 8th season, and then it was canceled after the 8th season. They're like, but we're not bringing it back. We're not going to bring it back for a 9th. But how about SWAT Exiles? And we just keep Shamar Moore. And it's like, okay, that's all right. It also has like a feels like Star Trek Discovery vibe going on, where like these are the secret members of Star Command. Like, we're the SWAT Exiles. We were tossed out of the SWAT program for being too extreme.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, and what they could have done, like, you'd say that it's like ripe for sequels. Like, they had 50 Squad. They could have easily done SWAT that followed the 20 Squad, and then done SWAT 50 Squad that's followed all the members of 50 Squad. Right? And then you're like able to reuse sets and things. They're just dealing with different crimes. But they're all headquartered at the same area. Like, it's like sliding doors or Rashomon storytelling. If they just made it SWAT 50 Squad. Like, you could even like share the big establishing shots. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't understand it. But you're right, because it's one of those things. I mean, I don't know if people know that Wednesday is back. And of those people who do know that Wednesday is back, I don't know if they know that they've gone with the part 1, part 2 season release for Wednesday. And then finally, I don't know if they know that September 3rd is when the second part of season 2 releases. Like, this is all stuff I have in my head. But then I say that, and FXX called this week's episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia the season 17 finale. But there's another episode that's going to be airing this coming Thursday.
Well, isn't the one next week like a weird special of some kind?
So it's
it's a Bachelor, or
so
is that
this
just
one,
a fake advertisement that I saw?
No. So what it's doing is Frank is the Golden Bachelor. He has been chosen to be the Golden Bachelor. This week's episode was him on The Bachelor, like shooting as the Golden Bachelor, doing episode stuff. And then next week is going to be presented as like the rewatch reunion episode of that. So it's still technically an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Right? Like it's not like it's not a special. It's not the crossover with Abbott Elementary that was part of Abbott Elementary's season. Like, it's still an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They're just treating it like a reunion episode of any of the Bachelor, Bachelorettes, or Golden Bachelorette, like, seasons. So, I don't know. Like, calling it the finale, I'm like, oh, we're done with it. And then, like, I'm like, no, there's another episode. They're, like, promoting another episode. And they're promoting it as an episode. What are you doing here? Like... It would really...
TV's lost its way, man.
It really has. Like, without being too, like, old men yell at clouds, middle-aged men yell at clouds, TV has gone way off the rails. I mean, is there anything...
It's not about the content, you know? Like, I don't feel like an old man yelling at clouds, because I'm not saying that, like, the creative side of things is getting to me right now. I think there's tons of, like, really interesting, fun stuff being tried. It's just that, and you know, and then there's the standard stuff that is definitely coming out that feels a little less creative, but, like, that is still all there. It just feels like as, like, a industry, TV just doesn't know how to like... TV doesn't know how to just like take a loss for a little bit. Like, if they just sat back and relaxed on some of these shows and let them have kind of some, you know, some more meager runs for a little bit, they build those audiences up. You know, like, everybody wants to make the next, like, big Arrested Development, right? But nobody wants to give, like, the show the time that Arrested Development had to actually become that show. People forget that the first couple of seasons of Arrested Development weren't, like, doing gangbusters for Fox.
No, the third season was when the show was like, oh, you got to be watching this show. There's 2 other seasons. I think it's on
like
one
Breaking
of the streaming
Bad,
platforms.
Man. Like,
yeah. There's no, but I guess the places where that was allowed to happen was streaming television. But now streaming is holding itself to the same standards as broadcast television, where if it's not getting the crazy views at the beginning, we're not going to go ahead, even when we've promised you, right? Like I'm mad at you a little bit. I said I'm mad at you. That's like personal stuff. We'll talk off mic afterwards. But like, you brought that, Young and Dumb? That's not the name of the show, right? The Emily Osment series.
Oh, yeah.
Young and Dumb. No. It's a guilty pleasure. Well, if it's a pleasure, why are you guilty about it? I'm going to look up Emily Osment is how I'm going to get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But the show that will never have an ending, yeah. Yeah,
the show that, and they were told that they were already going to get that. Pretty Smart. Like, it was promised more than that, and then they only had 10 episodes, and nobody really likes this, so we're done with it. So, yeah. I don't know. It's just a shame. Like, I have no idea. Sorry. It's just, like, they don't do it there either. Because before that, they'd have at least a little bit of a chance to build an audience. And it's just not happening anymore. And we're seeing the same thing in movie theaters, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I was going to ask him, how do you feel about the fact that Superman is coming out to streaming so quick after
Um,
after having what would some consider a pretty decent success in theaters suddenly?
well, you know the reason why, right?
Yes, just to tie everything together here because of Peacemaker, the TV show coming out in August.
This Thursday.
Gunn has said that he felt that he really wanted this to be available to people, right?
Yeah. And that's and I was fine with it. Like, I saw it's available. It's not available on HBO Max. It is still, you pay to rent or own it at home. And that's what we ended up doing. That's how we got our hands on it, was through that for Superman. And, I got to watch it with the family, which my father's certainly not going to the theaters. I think that my mother was like, I'm going to be doing other stuff. And then she was hooked into it and sat and watched the whole 2 hours of Superman. And she's like, I really liked that. And I had no desire to watch it. And it does not bother me that it's coming out if that were the norm for everything, right? Superman came to streaming about a month after it released in theaters. Because it came out on Friday, right? Like, it was a weird Friday release of it. Like, August 15th is when it was available. So, and it came out July 11th. So, yeah, 33 days after it released, you could watch it at home. Ditto for Jurassic World, right? 34 days later from its January 4th release, you could watch it at home. And that's fine. Smurfs is already available. That was a July 18th film. We're probably not going to see Fantastic Four First Steps for home consumption until September. I would be very surprised if we see that one. And that one, by accounts, did not do as well as Superman. So it just, nothing matters anymore. In like just the realest terms, in terms of the cinema. Because what friggin' Mission Impossible Final Reckoning is still not available for home consumption. And I feel like part of that has to do with the Paramount Skydance merger probably slowing things down on that one. But it's real strange that films, blockbuster films, that released 2 months after the final Mission Impossible film are available to consume at home already. For a film that, like, really came and went like a fart on the wind. I don't know anybody else who saw Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I honestly
well, I think
not.
that it got to that point where it was just too much for people. Like I feel like Fast and the Furious is kind of getting there for a lot of people too. There was a time where everybody was seeing those movies, and now it feels like people are kind of burnt down on it, as we see happens. It's the same thing that happened with superhero movies, just happened on a more epic scale for some reason or another. But the fan bases for these films ebb and flow, and it seems like right now, for sure, Mission Impossible has kind of hit a point where the true fans are still in it, but I don't know many people that saw it either.
Yeah, it's just so strange to me. And I think they kind of did themselves a bit of a disservice by calling the 7th movie Dead Reckoning Part 1 and then dropping the Part 2 from the sequel. Because if you went and saw that movie without seeing Dead Reckoning, you would have no idea what was going on. It was a true Part 2 film. And the fact that they did not present it that way, like, I feel like that was a big disservice to people, because it literally
were they filmed
picks
back
up
to back and all that, or like
but then there was
because Final
delays.
Reckoning got like pushed back a little bit and like messed around and stuff date wise, right? Wasn't that part of the problem?
That so there were issues with the release because they were trying to, I don't even know like the full story behind it, but it doesn't change the fact that the 8th Mission Impossible movie pretty much picks up right where the 7th one ended. And if you did not see that 7th movie, you will be like, what the fuck is going on? Because that's how it feels.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's sort of like Skyfall. It's like a reverse Skyfall, where Skyfall did not give a fuck about what happened in Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace. And then you go see Spectre, and it's like, oh yeah, no, those movies are super important for this movie. We didn't really mention anything about Skyfall. But those last 2 movies, the ones that didn't excite people, those were big deal for Spectre. I 100% believe that Skyfall was like a quick, we need to do a movie that people care about reaction to how like poorly Quantum of Solace performed. And that's all personal like feeling about that. But I knew that I did not really want to see Skyfall. I ended up seeing it on a whim after going to like one of the holiday movie showings at my local cinema. And then Skyfall was there, and I'm like, how much are tickets for Skyfall? Oh, $5 because it's like the first showing of the day? Yeah, we'll go check that out. And I loved it. But after Quantum of Solace, I'm like, I think I'm going to take a break from James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still haven't seen Good Time to Die, the 5th Daniel Craig film. So I don't even know. I want to. I just haven't.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at movie-wise at the moment. I've been revisiting a bunch of stuff. You you sent me that information about Arrow Video yesterday, or got me going down the rabbit hole of Arrow Video, and I started pulling a bunch of my collector's editions of stuff out. So I ended up watching Police Story 3 yesterday, and or Super Cop, which is the other name for it. But I just I don't know. I've been just going through and just watching a bunch of old stuff. I broke out my special edition Sin City, the recut, like director's cut edition, where they basically just break it up into 4 different smaller movies because they add so much to each of them that if it were all together, it'd be like a 4-hour experience.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a really cool thing that they did. Yeah, like I get that. I love that. Going back is good. I'm going to hold off on the whole Arrow Video thing because I am still a little bit up in the air about what I might be doing this week. And I'll save it for the next episode of the show as to whether or not that's actually going to happen or not.
Okay. Yeah,
if you're in the know, you probably understand what I'm alluding to, but I don't know how I feel about it knowing how much I could just like own it at home compared to going out to the theaters. So I am toying with that in my mind. Yeah, I mean, I haven't necessarily... I went back to, like, TV, right? Like, I'm going to try to watch Peacemaker this week, but last week, in the background, in addition to Family Ties, because I'm about 10 episodes through the 4th season of Family Ties, which is where the show's really different. Really, real big changes in the 4th season of that show. Probably why only the first 3 seasons are streaming on Paramount Plus, I'm not going to lie. I went back to Ted, because they keep promising that there's going to be a season 2 of the Ted prequel series, and I really liked that show. Have you seen the Ted show at all?
I have not watched the show, no, because I didn't have access to it. I think I actually do currently have access. It's Paramount, right?
It's Peacock.
Peacock. No, then I don't have access to it still. Yeah, no. Yeah, man. So I haven't been able to watch it because it's only been available there, you know?
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And they also, now they're doing an animated series that's going to be a sequel to the films, so... I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening.
Is it McFarlane style animation or is it something else?
I'm not sure.
Like, does it look like American Dad, Family Guy, or does
they
it
haven't
look like...
showed any of the stuff yet? Just
they haven't showed anything yet.
May 9th of 2025, Ted the Animated Series ordered by Peacock. So there's nothing there. I'm excited about it. I have a feeling like that could definitely be how they do my Freaky Friday Ted. First of all, the world is now ripe for the Freaky Friday Ted 3 storyline, where John becomes a teddy bear and Ted becomes a human being, played by Seth MacFarlane. Like, I think that seems like the next logical step for the Ted series. I've been crowing this for
Seth
a while.
MacFarlane?
What?
Do you think he turns just into Seth MacFarlane, or do you think it turns into some, like, do they get like a celebrity to like play like the...
I think that so much of the character is Seth. So I would personally, as a fan of the Ted films, I would want it to be Seth rather than some celebrity get.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I think that you're right that that's what it should be. But I'm curious if that's where if that's where you think they'd actually go, because it's an opportunity to like pull somebody out of their ass, right? Like that they could just like throw into these movies. Yeah.
I mean, and one of the big reasons why I've always said that should be the thing is that, you know, Mark Wahlberg, if he's not able to show up on set, you make the teddy bear him. And then you can have jokes about him being the teddy bear and things like that. But it's an established world where magic exists. So, like, the idea of them switching bodies, but not switching bodies in the fact of, like, John's brain in the teddy bear and Ted's brain in John, but literally John becomes a teddy bear and Ted becomes a human being. Like, I think that would just be, like, a fun twist on the Freaky Friday.
You know what it
trope.
is I think then you have to get into the origins of the magic of Ted then, right?
Yeah.
Like, that has to be the plot, but the driving conflict is that something has gone wacky in the magic, and that is what's happened, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, the magic of Ted is basically Shooting Star. It's Pinocchio in so many ways. So, and then, like, there's an episode of the show, spoilers for the series, I know you haven't seen it, most people haven't, but there's an episode of the series where another toy comes to life. And that is weird to me, because I think about somebody like Giovanni Ribisi's Donnie character. Why wouldn't he have tried to make the wish for his bear to come alive if he wanted Ted so badly? Like, and it's a world, like, then, like, there's a lot that you could do exploratory-wise as to why the Bennetts are able to have their wishes granted. Like, there's jokes in it, like maybe the house itself is cursed, like built on an Indian burial ground, or were there murders in this house? Like, are there just spirits floating around waiting for somebody to make a wish so they could take over whatever they wish to come to life? They have fun with it in the episode, but, you know, and it's set in the 90s, so of course that they're like, maybe it was built on an Indian burial ground. Oh, like Poltergeist. Like, they have fun with it. And maybe that's it, because once you have someone else in the house makes a wish and brings a toy to life, why didn't everybody just try that once Ted came to life?
Right.
And then once you have that, like, landmark freaking established thing that Ted is a human being, right, that he has human rights, that would open up a whole floodgate of all these other ones that, like, maybe were kept secret because of everything that went bad for Ted. Like, there's a rich world there for exploration. That's all I'm saying. And I still think
it's a surprisingly rich world for the series that gave us "Fuck You, Thunder."
Yeah, right. You can suck my dick. You can't hurt me, Thunder. You're just God's farts. So New England.
God's farts.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it stands. And the other thing is that, like, if they go the route where, like, Ted becomes some handsome, famous person, it needs to be someone that they haven't referenced, right? Like, he'd end up being, like, Timothy Chalamet or something. Well, this tracks. Or something. I came to life in 1986, so I guess I would look like Timothy Chalamet. This would be how old I am. Not Timothy Chalamet, because obviously he has not, I don't know what's happening anymore. But, like, Tom Skerritt exists in the world. Nora Jones exists in the world as themselves. Right? Mm-hmm. Hasselhoff.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to talk about this week. I thought I had so many things, and then I got in the chair, and it all kind of, I'm just so excited about my shoes, Siege.
Oh man. Well, I don't know, man. I'm still gonna be working through SteamWorld this week. The family and I are getting ready for a camping trip in a couple of weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we wrap this one up. If you don't have anything else you want to make sure you put into the episode, like, I think it's about that time. Yeah, like,
let's put a bow on it.
Alrighty, cool. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report, this highly unhinged middle school fueled episode of the Say Report. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can join our Discord. Invitations to do so are available wherever we are on social media, in the bio section. And as of the recording, that's still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. You can also send an email to us directly, thesayReport@gmail.com. And we can facilitate you with an invite if you want to join the Discord, or we can just communicate via email, like it's the early days of the internet, when there was only dial-up internet, as opposed to the modern time of the internet, where, like, it's gone. There's not going to be any more dial-up internet, which, like, on the one hand makes sense. On the other hand, it feels like 5 years too late in a weird way, right? I don't know. But yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to imagine there was probably some system somewhere that was like integral to like the world still spinning, that was still running on it, right? They had to figure out a way to get that taken care of before they could officially kill it.
Yeah, we have to figure out a way to transfer this over to broadband internet. But if we disconnect it from the dial-up internet it's connected to, every light in the world will shut off simultaneously. So we gotta solve that problem. But yeah, I mean, if you are gonna email us, and it's specifically for me, Devin Decker, or for him, Stephen Sarwick, just put our name in the subject line, and we will make sure that it's distributed appropriately, so that Sejan doesn't get to see your hopes and dreams that are just for Devin Decker, and I don't get to read your Notebook Junior-esque musings about how much you love him when you send them to Sejan. But that all said, thank you so much for joining us for the Say Report. We look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, William, please bring us home. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devin Decker and Stephen Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report. And you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.